Yes, I'm excited. Finally. It's another episode of Victor and Not Victim podcast, and I have with me Mrs. Tunrayo Oluwole. It's such an honor to finally have you with me recording, ma. How you doing, ma?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for honoring our invitation, ma. I'm deeply grateful, ma.
It is such a pleasure. Such a
All
pleasure.
right. Okay.
You are doing a very fantastic job.
Wow, I'm blushing. Thank you, ma. So I welcome Mrs. Tunrayo Oluwole. She's a wife and a mother. She's an entrepreneur, and in respect to this channel, she's a sickle cell advocate and the founder of Sickle Cell Women International Foundation, SWINT. So let's get right into it, ma. You're welcome once again, and then kindly just mention your name and introduce yourself to our audience, ma.
Well, good morning, everyone. Like you have rightly said, my name is Tunrayo Oluwole. I'm a warrior and a very gallant and a winning soldier at that.
That's good.
You know what it is when you live with sickle cell disorder. You just have to have a very brave heart and this undying spirit that whatever comes, you will always come out better and stronger. Mm-hmm. So that has been my watchword and my hold on to word all these years. Whatever comes, I know that I'll come out stronger and better.
Wow, great. Okay, so ma, can you kindly share your sickle cell journey with us, ma? At what age were you diagnosed? At what period did you get to know that you had sickle cell? I mean, you're married, your marriage. I'm always interested rather in talking about sickle cell and marriage. Like, what was it like getting married and all of that? So kindly share a brief of your sickle cell journey with us, ma.
Well, it's quite a long one. God bless my mom. She's late now, but she told me that I was diagnosed at age 6 months old when I was 6 months old. I'm different from the previous child or children she has had. I was her fourth born, so I was different from the three early, for my three elder siblings. So she took me to the hospital and several tests were carried out and the result came out as SS, and that was where the journey started. I think I realized that I have sickle cell at a very early age, maybe around age 4 or 5, because I discovered that I was always being treated specially. Don't go out, don't play in the rain, don't walk in the sun, you don't eat this kind of food. This is the one for you. And the very, you must drink water, while every other person in the house is not drinking water. So I'm like, what is the problem?
Tell me about it.
And the endless pain, the sleepless night, times I had to be rushed into the hospital in the middle of the night. Nigeria was still much better at that time. You can get to the hospital any time of the day at 12 a.m., at 1 a.m., being rushed to the hospital and, several countless hospital admissions. So I realized that there's something different about me. And even though we have a large family, I am from a polygamous house. We have a large family, but I grew up as a lonely child because I couldn't really do what other people are doing. I couldn't do what my other siblings are doing. So I grew up like a lonely one. I was always in a world of my own, kind of. And like I said, we are from a polygamous family, and my stepmom too has 2 children that has sickle cell, but unfortunately, the 2 of them are late now. So in the family, I'm the only surviving warrior.
Wow, you are a fighter.
So I'm the only surviving warrior, and funny enough, when we were younger, I was the most sickly. The other two are like, they don't fall sick, they don't go to the hospital, maybe just once in a year. And I'm like the one that is, very, gives the family a whole lot of work. But God has a way of doing things. And here I'm the only one that is still here. The other one are late, but I give thanks to God, because I know that there's a reason for still keeping me here. Sometimes I get very weary, I get tired, I'm very overwhelmed, but I take solace in the word of God that says that He that has brought me this far will not leave me nor forsake me. And I know He has said that He will always exhibit His strength in my weakness. So I hold on to such words, and He has always been a very faithful father. He has been a faithful father.
Faithful father. Wow.
And growing up, school days, there was a time when I was in primary school. I remember that I had AVN. I didn't really know, or let me say, we didn't really know what it was then. But I was using crutches. I was going for physiotherapy session. I was told not to wear high heels, and because of that, they had to take me to school and bring me back for I don't walk long distances. I had to sleep on the bare floor on a hard surface. It wasn't an interesting thing, but I maybe because I was younger and the cells and the bones were still young, so I was able to overcome that. And then I was fine. I think I was around age 7 or 8. I can't really remember. I think I was in primary 4 then. And the way it is when you are, a kid and you are different in school. You're using crutches without breaking your bones. It's not as if you are on a cast. And people were like, "What is wrong with you?" And even yourself, you don't have an answer because you don't really know what it is. Exactly. So you can't really explain to your friends like, "Oh, probably had a fall or had an accident." It wasn't like that. So after that session of therapy, it got better, and I was off crutches, and life remained to normal. I went to secondary school, I went to higher institutions, I started work, and I think in 2012 I was working. I went to work that day, and I came back. I drove myself to work, and I wanted to drive into the compound of our house then, and I couldn't get down from the car. My leg hooked. I was like, "What is wrong?" I tried and tried. I waited in the car for like 30 minutes. I couldn't help myself until I shall manage, to get down, open the gate, drive in, and that was the beginning. I couldn't use that leg. It was painful. It was, it was hell. The pain was out of this world. I went to the hospital. I was giving injections. I was giving drips, but it wasn't getting better. Everything we could. Series of therapies, x-rays, physiotherapy session, but it didn't work until I had to go for the hip replacement surgery. But it was the 2 legs that was affected, but one was just very unbearable. One was just very, so I did just 1 leg, and I'm still managing the other at the moment.
So for our audience, AVN is avascular necrosis, also known as osteonecrosis, and it is usually the death of a bone tissue due to loss of blood supply. Blood is usually a thing with sickle cell. So AVN usually doesn't have symptoms in the early stages. Like she mentioned that, she just drove in normally and she realized that she couldn't just take her leg again. But later the disease can get worse and become extremely painful if not properly treated. So can you please tell me a bit about the surgery, just for knowledge sake? People may gain a lot from that knowledge. What was the surgery like? Was it expensive? Is it a normal surgery that somebody can just walk into the hospital to do?
Well, it's for Nigeria, in Nigeria context, is expensive. It is expensive. Because Nigeria is the economy is not really buoyant, and an average person is actually living below the poverty line. Getting a balanced meal in Nigeria today is all at work. Getting drugs is very challenging to a lot of people. So how much more, when you're now talking about surgery that runs into millions of naira. So it's quite expensive. But before you can do it, you have to contact an orthopedic, a doctor. From there, you have to do a series of tests and the x-rays to know just like you have said, to know the degree of the damage that has been done to the joints area. So it depends on the degree, or that the degree of the damage that will determine the measure. There's a way they do the measurements on that joint area to know the actual size of the metal that will be put into your system, into your bone. Because I think the way they do it is that they remove the head of that, that joint, that ball and socket joint. They remove it and put a metal inside. So they have to do a proper x-ray to know your actual size that fits you. So it is cut to fit. It is not one size fits all, because it depends on the inches that has been lost, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, so that you can have a balanced and an equal leg with the whole.
So tell us about SWINT, Sickle Cell Advocacy, Sickle Women International Foundation. At what point did you receive that vision for the foundation, ma?
Well, I can't talk about SWINT without talking about my own personal family life, because I think it is that journey that brought about SWINT Foundation. The way it is with sickle cell and genotype compatibility, and how challenging it is getting a partner that is AA. Like I would tell people, it's not about the AA. AA is just one of the things you're looking out for. The person's personality is very important. It's very important. What's the point of getting married to an AA that is a non-entity? It doesn't make a sense. It will just add to your problem. And problem is the least thing that we should even be dealing with. We have loads of problem on our hands already. So it's not hard to eat. So, unfortunately, when it's time to get married, I had a couple of AA people, but they are not what I want. They are not what I want. They might be AA, but they are not what I want. And even some are like, the way they are always carrying their genotype on their head, like they are deputy God.
Tell me about it.
The way they always put their shoulders high, that yes, they are the real thing, and they.
If reaching out to the world with your talent, passion, and brand through podcasts is your greatest desire, then the Anchor app is for you. It's easy to navigate, and the series of interludes to make your program interesting and enticing makes all the difference for me. So, experience a good published podcast with Anchor.
Okay, the way it is, like they want you to feel like they are doing you a favor.
Exactly.
Yes, that they are doing you a favor. I've had a couple of bad experiences where because I wasn't like a lazy person. I'm a very hardworking. I have my business, I have my job, and things were really going. So they tend to make you feel like, oh, they're doing you a favor and you should even pay their bills. And I'm like, in this, I'm a girl, I'm a lady, for crying out loud. And the way even the God created it is that I should be catered for, not I cater for you. I even had an experience of somebody that was even telling me that, he was actually living with his sister then, that we should go and take an apartment, and it's not as if you're working. You're not even working. You're not learning any skill. You're not doing anything. So I'm like, excuse me, who is going to pay for that? And he was like, we start from somewhere. And I said, me, I'm not the kind of person like point. It got to a stage where I just feel like I can make my money and travel the world and enjoy myself. You understand?
Yeah.
But God actually has another plan for me. And then one day I was just at my studio, and a long lost friend just walked into my studio like that, and then we were like, oh, where have you been, and then stuff like that, and then we became friends. And then Yugi is quite older than I do. I've known him for a couple of times. I think that around the time when I was leaving, higher institution, I was like, this person is older than me. He's just going to chance me. Let me just run. And he came back and we became friends. And I was like, so what's up? How have you been? And we became friends. And one day he was like, Tunrayo, you don't have to hide your genotype. I know that you are SS. And I was shocked because it's not what. Yes, it wasn't what I used to like telling people back then. I used to hide it. And he was even the one that told me that he knows that I am SS. There's no big deal there, and he's comfortable with that. And I'm like, oh, really? This must be a dream. And before I took it really serious, I said, okay, let's go and do your own genotype. And he was so confident that he was AA that everybody in my house, the way Nigeria is, once you're not sick, you're AA.
Interesting.
So I just said, oh, me, I'm not taking that too. We are going to the lab. And we did like 3 different tests from different laboratories, and we have conflicting results. Some said is AA, another one said is AS, another one said is AS, and I'm like, oh, me, I'm going with the AS. And we tried severally to go different ways. We will break up, but something keeps bringing us back together. We have grown so fond of each other that maybe after we go 3 months we'll come back together. 2 weeks we'll come back together. So one day he just called me and he was like, I think there must be a solution to this thing, and we have to look into it. And he told me one silly thing. He said, even if I'm AA, it's not as if it's going to change your own genotype to AA or to AS. It's because of of the children we are planning to have together. So why don't we look into it and see if we can bring something out? And if there's no way, we can actually adopt. And I'm like, Nigerian man telling you to adopt, how real can that be? I said, I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's take it a step at a time. So we began, searching the internet and seeing what we can do. And we had like several options. There's pre-implantation, selection through IVF. There's prenatal diagnosis, that you diagnose the genotype of the baby you are carrying as early as the 1st trimester. And then, but due to constrained finances at that time, we said, okay, maybe we'll do prenatal diagnosis, and that was when we decided to take the relationship a step further. And a lot of people were against it. My mom was like, what are you doing? Are you in your right senses? My friends, everybody. But it was only my dad that was like, I know that there's something that can be done. The thing is, only be sure of what you are doing. No mistakes, no error.
Yeah.
And that was when we decided to get married. So, I got married to a guy or a man that is an AS. But I was so particular about his personality more than his genotype. Is this kind of person that understands me. He allows me to be me. You get it? He allows me to be me. I get to be happy. Like I always say, sickle cell is handful. And you need to be happy in some areas. You just have some, level of happiness and peace.
Yes.
And, think that with him, I can get all those things. So that was why I decided to go ahead with him. And after our wedding, I got pregnant like 3 months or something after. And then we went for the prenatal diagnosis in Lagos, and we were told to wait for 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks was like, I'm waiting for 2 decades. But I was holding on because God gave me a word. He said he's going to confound the wise with the foolish things of this world. And I've done a very foolish thing, no doubt. But I'm holding on to this God that he has a plan. And, thankfully, when the result came out, the baby was AS. So I was just super excited. And that was how I became, a mother in the first year of being a wife at the same time. So by the time we were celebrating our first year anniversary, my baby came like 5 days after. So it came on Christmas Day. So it was just a double celebration for us that particular year. So I will always remain thankful to God, because I know that such a thing could have been from him. And after that, I was like, let me wait for like 2 years before trying another conception. And I was trying to get pregnant, but I wasn't getting pregnant until last year, August. I discovered that I was pregnant. And, the moment I got pregnant, I started having crises because I was on hydroxyurea in 2018. And I wasn't, really keen on getting pregnant. I was tired, actually. So suddenly it just came. And the moment I got pregnant, I was getting, I was having crises, and I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital. But I was just holding on that, maybe when I do this PND test and the test comes out as expected, I'll just be on total bed rest all through the pregnancy period. But unfortunately, when we went to Lagos for the tests, I had a lot of challenges. I was, the test is like a minimal invasion. There's this long syringe that they had to, put inside your tummy to bring out the what is it called?
From the fetus, yeah.
Sample from the fetus. So, and unfortunately, when after that, I was just bleeding from my tummy, non-stop, and everywhere was just scattered. The doctors, the consultant, they were worried that this kind of thing has never happened, blah 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 blah, until a very long time they were able to stop it. And I was in pain because all along I was in crisis. I was really in pain. And my husband was there all by my side all through. So the following day, the way it is that you're not meant to travel. You have to be like on bed rest for 2-3 days so that you will not suffer miscarriage. Yeah. But I couldn't hold that pain again. I had to tell my husband that we should come to Ibadan so that I can go to the clinic where I can be managed the following. I had to call them. Sickle said, that I was traveling. They said, well, I'm on my own. I said, no problem. All will be fine. So on getting to Ibadan the following day, the result came out. The result of the PND came out, and the baby was SS. So I was like, wow. So instantly at that spot, I had to really make an instant decision because I was in pain, I was in crisis, and that was the only thing I was holding. I was hoping that result will come out nice, but it didn't come out as we wanted. So I told my husband, I said, I'm not having this baby. And he was like, what? I said, I'm not going to have it. I don't have the psychological strength. Yes. I don't have mental energy to look after a child with sickle cell. I don't have it. And he said, okay, whatever you want is fine. So on the instant, we have to start looking for a very good gynecologist that will handle the case. The moment they hear, oh, she's SS, they will just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't handle it.
Exactly.
So we had to, in fact, until maybe the 5th doctor that we spoke to, the 5th or the 6th one that we spoke to, that agreed to do it. So that was how we eventually evacuated the baby. And unfortunately, I was bleeding all through. I did the evacuation in October, and I was bleeding till this year March, on and off. I couldn't go out of my house without carrying a sanitary towel, because I can just be somewhere and I will feel the blood coming out. Do you understand? So it was sometimes, okay, I did the evacuation in October. Then sometimes in November, I was still healing. It was still a process for me. I was just alone at home one day. My son has gone to school, my husband has gone out. So I was just the only one at home. So I had that voice that told me that you have to help people. I was like, help people? Me that I even need help, I beg. But that voice keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. So one day, I now told my husband that this is what I was hearing in my spirit. Yeah, he said, okay, no problem. So what's the next thing? So that was when I began to ponder on it, that how do I go about it? And that spirit told me that start by sharing your stories. Start sharing your story. That what you had, a lot of people didn't have it, because my doctors, my nurses, they were like, oh, you've got a wonderful man by your side. That not every person is lucky to have somebody like this, because we usually go to every of my appointments together. We go together whenever I have appointments, whatever it is, we go together. So they are always like, this person is different. So that was how the voice said, oh, share your story. And that was how we came about the foundation. We started with WhatsApp group, and within 24, 48 hours, we have over 100 women on board. Because I discovered that later that there are a lot of NGOs that caters for people with sickle cell disorder, but there's a peculiarity about women that has that disorder. There's a lot of focus on children, adults. So
Yes.
what happens after they have grown into a full-grown adult? What happens? They had neglected, they are forgotten. So that was how we came about SWINS, Sickle Women International Foundation. So it's all about, sharing our coping strategies, sharing what we feel at a particular, we rant, we gist, we fight, the mental health, sickle cell, a lot of people think it's just about the physical pain, but there's more to it. There's this mental pain, there's this emotional pain, there's this, feeling of failure, feeling of rejected. We have dreams, we have aspirations, we have goals, but this sickness is always an hindrance. And that when you have things you want to do and you feel, incapable, it brings about a mental illness that people don't even understand, people don't know. So it's something that people just overlook. So that's what we are trying to do with SWINS Foundation. A lot of people have marital issues, a lot of people have relationship issues, because of this AA thing. A lot of people, they endure things, they go through a lot in the name of, I want to be with AA, or I want to let my marriage survive. So we are preaching self-love first. You have to love yourself for who you are. Acceptance is key. Until you come to a stage of acceptance, accept you. No. So acceptance is key. You have to come to a stage where you have to add value to yourself. I tell people, when you are valuable, nobody treats you like shit. When you have value, when you have things you can bring to the table, when you are intelligent, when you are hardworking, when you are productive, it doesn't mean you might not be making millions, you might not be making hundreds of millions, but you have something, no matter how small, that you are bringing to the table, you will be appreciated. it's not the end of the world. No, fine, you have sickle cell, but what is next?
Wow, this is so good. I'm excited about all these things they have taught us today. I'm super excited. Thank you so much, ma. I mean, my take home, I have my pen with me. My take home is that number one, you said have a self-acceptance, love yourself first. If you love yourself for who you are, it will be easy for people to accept you. Then number two, share your story. What you had, no one else has it. I mean, it's unique. So you never know who you might be encouraging with your story. Then most importantly, bring value to the table. When you have a value that you are offering, I mean, nobody can just step on you anyhow and look down on you. I mean, aside sickle cell, be somebody of value and of importance. Bring something really tangible to the table. This is so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tunrayo Oluwole. I am so excited. Thank you for honoring this invite once again.
Thank you so much, Olufumi. It's a pleasure talking to you. It's a pleasure talking to you. To you. And I just advise every woman living with sickle cell disorder that you have a value. Just know yourself. You have a value.
Yeah.
You have a value.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma. I'm grateful. Take care, ma.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
And you too, ma. Thank you, ma.